Two of the biggest video game releases in August of 2025 are Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater, and Gears of War Reloaded. Both of these games promise to be exciting new ways to experience these old games and expose them to a whole new audience. And these aren't the only ones. Earlier this year, we got a remake of The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. Last year, we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Persona 3 Reload, and Silent Hill 2, and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. There have been a lot of these coming out recently. When I see one of these games, my excitement is reserved. These games are cool ways to experience old games, but that's exactly it. They're old games. It's something I like to call IP cannibalism. What happens in an industry when there are no new ideas from the biggest companies? What happens when a studio has to constantly feed on its own past just to stay afloat? The idea of remaking games is nothing new. In 1993, the original Super Mario Bros. Games were remade and packaged into Super Mario All-Stars. Resident Evil was remade on the GameCube in 2002. The original Metroid was remade into Metroid Zero Mission in 2004. This is a trend that is almost as old as modern video games themselves. But remakes and remasters have gotten a lot more common as time has gone on, and that's what I'm worried about. In Hollywood, people often discuss the death of original ideas. Everything's part of some cinematic universe or a reboot or revival of an old movie franchise. It's getting rarer to find truly original ideas from major studios. And in AAA gaming, where there are already so many franchises, it's rare that you find a major studio releasing a truly original IP. So when studios offset their intermittent franchise installments with the return of an old game, there's a strong feeling of creative stagnation. From a business perspective, it makes sense. It's the same reason franchises are so popular in the first place. They're proven to be successful. Why take a risk making something new when you can just rely on what has worked so well in the past? I discussed recently on this channel that AAA studios are totally beholden to shareholder pressure. Shareholders expect the company to grow in value quarter after quarter, which doesn't leave room for error. So why take a risk and spend money on a new franchise that's not a sure thing when you can just make another Gears of War game, or even better, remake a Gears game that people already love? And from a marketing perspective, remakes are also great. Let's look at Gears of War Reloaded again. The sixth major installment of the franchise, Gears of War E-Day, comes out in 2026. So now is the perfect time to bring people on board with the franchise. Reloaded will be the first Gears of War game to release on PlayStation, which ensures a whole new set of eyes on it. It's exposing the franchise to a whole new audience without having to develop a whole new game. So it's a safe bet, but it's not a creative one, and that's the problem. When you look at the most exciting and critically acclaimed games of the past few years, they fall into three main categories. One is totally new IPs like Elden Ring and Clair Obscur Section 33. Another is amazing new takes on existing franchises like Astro Bot, Baldur's Gate 3, and this year's Donkey Kong Bonanza. And the third is indie games. Balatro, Blueprints, Dredge. All of these represent companies doing cool new things, taking risks. Let's talk about Elden Ring. From Software could have just remade Bloodborne and everyone would have been thrilled, but they didn't. Instead, they took a massive risk. They took their usual formula and turned it completely upside down, transferring it to an open world. And it worked. Elden Ring was one of the most significant cultural events in gaming in a long time. A game doesn't have to be original to be good, but it does to be great. But notice, I've been careful. I haven't said that these games are bad, because they're not. At least not all of them. Some of them are great, and some of them are necessary. I just said that everyone would have been psyched about a Bloodborne remake or remaster. Let's take a look at the ultimate counterpoint to my argument to see what I'm talking about. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. This is the ultimate video game remake, and it's critically adored for good reason. It completely reimagines Final Fantasy VII, rebuilding it from the ground up. It modernizes the game and makes it available to experience for a whole new audience that never would have played it otherwise. I would never call something like this a negative. But it does raise the question of what exactly makes a great remake or remaster. And to me, it comes down to three main elements. 1. Does it reimagine the original game? Again, Final Fantasy VII is a great example of this. It isn't just a reskin like games like The Last of Us Part 1 are. It uses a familiar foundation to create something brand new for fans to experience. 2. Does it solve problems that the original had? Think about the 2020 Demon's Souls remake. It takes what was a clunky, dated experience and brings it to the modern era with refined mechanics. It's way more playable. It also made it available to many players that were unable to play the original, as it was locked to the PlayStation 3. And number 3, does it have true artistic intent? Does it help the developer fulfill their ultimate vision for the game? The Shadow of the Colossus remake is the perfect example of this. The developers were finally able to realize the atmosphere and scale required without running into performance issues, turning it into the ultimate way to experience the game. So really, the game just needs a reason that it stands on its own. A reason to exist beyond, we need a slot to fill for a first-party release this quarter. My criticism was never about the quality of the individual games. It's about the reliance so many developers have on this strategy industry-wide. It's about the priorities of AAA studios who push for the easy way out over genuine creativity. The remakes and remasters that work do so because they are creative. They're real game releases, not just filler. So the games aren't necessarily bad, but this is why I call it IP cannibalism. The franchises are often really good enough to eat, and the games they're remaking are beloved. Metal Gear Solid 3, Gears of War, Silent Hill 2, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. People see these as some of the greatest games of all time. But it's not about the games, it's about the trend. It's about the industry. What does the industry look like 10 years from now if the remake trend keeps going? Will the games that are releasing right now be getting remakes alongside all the other games that are also being remade? Are AAA studios simply going to be pumping out the same game over and over again each time there's a new console generation or Unreal Engine version? Will the trend of indie and AA studios having all the industry's creativity continue? Will players even be looking for new experiences? After all, that's the other side of this. When players keep being fed the same games over and over again, a lot of them will be less interested in trying new things. Think about how many gamers only play the most recent Call of Duty or NBA 2K games without giving anything else a shot. And understand, I don't think that's a bad thing. People play what they like, and I think that's awesome. But I just worry about how this could impact the gaming community's desire to try and experience new things. When there are no more new ideas in the gaming industry from the biggest developers, the whole community could just get used to it. And that's not the future I want. But I want to turn the conversation over to you. How do you feel about video game remakes? Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've made it this far, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. It's only one click and it makes a huge difference. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.